Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stone Age Climbing Gym in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We are here at the first stop of USA Climbing's 2017 National Cup Series. My name is Matt Ratajczyk, and I am one of the route setters for this competition.
And joining you tonight, I am Molly Rennie. I am coming from the climber's perspective. I typically climb on the pro circuit, but this year I'm taking some time off while I have a baby.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, Molly. So we're going to check out the scores from qualifiers last night. Tied for first in the men's category, we have Kai Laettner and Nathaniel Coleman. And third place is Carlo Traverse. Those top three were the only men to top all 10 qualifiers. Following them is Matt Foltz in fourth, Sean Bailey, Nicholas Milburn, Austin Guyman, and Santa Fe local Benjamin Hanna rounding out finals, with Joe Diaz and Martin Kunel in a close 9th and 10th.
And on the women's side, no surprise here, Alex Puccio completed all the qualifiers' problems, followed by Tyra Conde with 9 tops, Maya Madere, Sierra Blair Coyle, Natalia Grossman, Meagan Martin, Brooke Rabitou, Lucy Humphries, and then 9th place was Sienna Kopp, who just barely missed.
Now, Molly, these climbers had a grueling qualifying round last night. They had 3 hours to attempt 10 climbs for their gender. Each climb was worth 25 points, and depending upon the climb, they had a couple checkpoints along the way to earn some more points. But as you can see, a lot of these climbers, you had to do all 10 to make it here tonight, or very close. So they're probably pretty tired coming into this evening.
Yeah, and this was a fairly new format. Not many gyms have used this format before. And it seems like from talking to the competitors that they're actually really pleased with this type of format. It took the pressure off of watching what the other competitors were sending, trying to find the secret problem that everybody could send. And instead they could just focus on the climbs without the pressure of worrying about everybody else.
Right, and so this is the second year USA Climbing is hosting the National Cup Series. Stone Age Climbing Gym here in Albuquerque will be the first stop for the second year in a row.
Yeah, and the Battle of the Bay at the Dogpatch Boulders is next in San Francisco, and that's going to happen November 10th and 11th.
So, Molly, let's talk for a second about these types of competitions, how beneficial they are for USA athletes to compete on the international stage.
You know, this is really a great opportunity for these athletes. It seems like in the past, athletes have had to kind of travel around the country and figure out which comps had the best setting, and which ones would attract the biggest names so that they could compete against their peers, fellow pros. But with this series now, they know who's going to be there. They know the setting's going to be super high quality, and it's going to be World Cup style. So they can prepare then for ABS Nationals and then the World Cup scene and eventually the Olympics.
So the Olympics, this will be the first time climbing is in the Olympics. It will be in 2020 in Tokyo. Now, tonight is just a bouldering competition, so there's no ropes involved. They're falling on thick foam crash pads, whereas in the Olympics, they're going to have to boulder. They're going to have to climb on ropes on difficult sport routes, as well as speed climbing. So, like you had mentioned, how this is beneficial for our U.S. athletes to gain more experience in these types of formats. It's still just scratching off the tip of the iceberg for what these athletes need to be prepared for the Olympics.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the rest of this National Cup Series season and what it will look like for these climbers and where the end is for them. So as I mentioned, the next one is at the Battle of the Bay at the Dogpatch Boulders in San Francisco. And then after that, they're going to be in Austin, Texas, December 15th and 16th at the Crux Climbing Center, followed by the Southern Grit competition at the High Point in Birmingham, Alabama in January, the beginning of January. And this is the other competition this year, aside from Stone Age, Yank-N-Yard, that is hosting a National Cup Series for the second year.
Right, so after these 4 Cup Series competitions, the season or the series will conclude at the National Championships in Salt Lake City on February 2nd and 3rd in 2018. The reason why these cup events are so important is because based on how they finish at this event, they will earn points towards the National Cup ranking. For example, first place tonight will receive 100 points, and 8th place will receive 40 points. All the way down to 30th place from qualifiers will receive 1. Then, at the National Championship, those points will be doubled towards the whole entire series. So, despite that these points are only half of what they'll see at the championship, at the National Championship, it's still important to try to grab these points early in the season moving forward.
And these points are particularly important because this determines who actually gets to compete this year at the National Championships. In the past, anybody could sign up. And now, with the high numbers last year, how many male athletes were there at Bouldering Nationals? Do you remember, Matt?
Oh, it was at least 150. I remember I was midway through the pack, and I climbed after being in ISO for 4 hours.
Yeah, so it was just brutal. And so this way it'll narrow down that field a little bit, and they will only take the top 100 athletes from these National Cup series, which sounds like a lot, but as we've just mentioned, last year there were well over 100 male athletes at the National Championships.
That's right. And to get a little off topic here, I had mentioned the word ISO. ISO is short for isolation. Our competitors who are competing in finals tonight haven't seen these climbs yet. They are currently in an isolation area of our gym warming up. They will not see these climbs until they come out for their turn. So that adds a little bit extra challenge to these competitors tonight, whereas last night they had 3 hours. They can talk with their competitors, they could watch their competitors climb, whereas tonight they're on their own.
Yeah, no preview time. Some competitions do offer a preview for the athletes prior to competing, but tonight not so much. And just a quick throw out here for everybody, if you have questions this evening, you can tweet to @USA Climbing, and we will be following along on there to answer questions along the way. So if you have questions about this new series or the format or scoring or any of the athletes, we will do the best we can to answer those questions throughout the evening.
A couple quick facts for you all at home. This is the 21st annual Yank-N-Yard competition here at Stone Age Climbing Gym. There is a deep history in this competition. I don't know if you can see from the walls. We've got awesome artwork. We've got a huge crowd, and this is a newer facility for this gym. Another fun fact: compared to last year's finals, we have 5 athletes in finals tonight who are also in finals at the Yank-N-Yard last year.
And this crowd is psyched. They are really excited to see this tonight. A lot of them were youth competitors today or open competitors today, so they've come back this evening to watch and cheer on the pros. I think that this is a great opportunity for a lot of these younger athletes to actually come out and see the pros in real life for the first time.
So it looks like we're starting some introductions here. We've got the ringleader of Stone Age Climbing Gym's route setting team. This is Lance Hadfield. He's been here for every single Yank-N-Yard competition since day one.
And your boss, right, Matt?
And my boss, yes. All right, so our first male climber is coming on out for introductions. This is Ben Hanna, 18 years old, I believe.
Yeah, he just graduated high school.
Yeah, he lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I actually set with Ben. He comes down from Santa Fe once or twice a week to set with us. So he had the choice this year of either climbing or setting, and he chose to climb, and it paid off. He made his way into finals.
Next out is Lucy Humphries. She's from Rhode Island, and she's kind of new to this comp scene, but she really proved herself worthy to be on this stage tonight. And then followed by Austin Guyman, no stranger to the competitive scene. He's often seen in finals.
Out next, we've got Brooke Rabitou from Team ABC in Boulder, Colorado.
One of our young 16-year-old competitors tonight.
We've got Nick Milburn, 22 years old, out of Lafayette.
And next out is another one of our young competitors. This is Natalia Grossman. She's also a Team ABC kid, so we can see 2 of those Team ABC girls out there on the stage.
Got another young climber, 21-year-old Sean Bailey out of Seattle, Washington. One of our shortest male competitors tonight.
And another popular, perhaps the most popular climber, ninja athlete, Meagan Martin, known for her sunny personality and smile always.
Out next, we've got Matt Foltz from Idaho, I believe.
Yeah, originally from Idaho, although he's coaching for Team ABC right now. And Sierra Blair Coyle, who has been crushing this year.
Out next, our second oldest male athlete, Carlo Traverse at 28 years old from Santa Rosa, California. Our oldest is Austin Guyman at 31.
Oh, so old. And Maya Madere coming out. Maya comes from Austin.
From Murray, Utah, we've got Nathaniel Coleman.
Tyra Conde's coming out next. She looked really strong last night in qualifiers.
Up next, our youngest male athlete at 16 years old, also our tallest athlete, Kai Laettner.
Look at how much taller he is than Kyra. What is his height? Do we have a height on Kai?
6'7". Nope, that's his wingspan. I'm sorry, he's 6'2" with
6'2".
with a 6'7" wingspan.
Oh my gosh. And then of course, the famous Alex Puccio, who has won this event, has won almost every local or United States comp she's entered. She's amazing.
Very, very impressive track record for all of these athletes.
We have a really strong field of athletes competing here tonight. Albuquerque is very lucky to have such amazing athletes on the stage in front of them.
Yeah, I gotta say, Molly, as one of the route setters for tonight's competition, based on who was pre-registered for the event, I was not expecting a finals field this stacked.
Yeah.
We are in for quite a show.
Yeah, and as the route setter, Matt, I'm sure that was a little bit intimidating setting for such a strong group of people.
Absolutely. I went to bed last night knowing who made finals, knowing I had to come in here today to make all the finals climbs harder.
And who is your chief route setter for this competition?
Chief route setter tonight for the open category is Mike. I don't know Mike's last name.
Mike Bacchino.
Mike Bacchino. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and he's kind of been around for a long time doing some great setting, so I'm sure he was excellent to work with.
Yeah, I gotta say, we had an awesome setting crew between the citizen and youth comps that we hosted to the open competition. We were ahead of schedule all week, and it was, honestly, despite being the biggest competition I've ever set for, it was run the most smoothly.
So our first athletes, it looks like they're getting settled into the chair. So the way this competition will work is they'll sit in the chair, then they'll come out and compete, and then they'll come back to the chair. So that's kind of an interesting way of working because they don't go back into isolation, they stay out, which means they get to see the reaction of the crowd. It gives them a much stronger indication of how the other competitors are doing. Our first athlete up is Lucy Humphreys, over there on that end wall with the beautiful artwork.
So y'all at home can't see the clock. She, like Molly said, she'll only have 5 minutes to try this first climb. We have a great view of the clock here, so we'll keep you updated when her time is running out. So yeah, as Molly said, they'll have 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and so on until they get through all 4 climbs. Yeah,
so this is definitely a 5 flat competition. Sometimes they have a 5+, meaning they would get to stay on the wall as long as they could after that 5 minutes is up. Today, at the end of the 5 minutes, even if they're about to touch the finishing hold, they're called down. And there's Lucy, you can see she's getting ready to go. I always think it's kind of nice to be the first athlete out. The crowd's excited. There's no expectations. Nobody's seen a high point yet. So whatever you do, they cheer and they're excited for you. But at the same time, you are the only one out there, which is pretty intimidating.
So we've got a good view here of our entire competition wall. This is actually our lead climbing wall, typically for our gym. However, we converted it to a little bouldering wall for tonight's event. As you...
4 minutes.
So from this view here, you can see that each of the holds, or some of the holds on each climb, have placards with a number associated with that hold. They will be rewarded those points if they can grab and control that hold. Typically control is 2 seconds. Is that right, Molly?
Yeah. And can you talk about the start and finishes as well for these climbers tonight so that the audience can know and our viewers can know?
All right, so as you can see on some of these holds at the beginning of the climbs, they have 2 pieces of white tape. Some climbs, you get 1 hold to start on. Others, you get 2. So you have to establish yourself on those start holds with both feet off the ground before you can move to your next hold and make your way to the finish of the climb or the top. So we'll be referring to finishing the climb as topping the climb. And the points, those hold points that you see, we call them zones, but they're kind of like checkpoints. So every time you get to one of those zones or checkpoints, you're awarded with those points.
And while we're waiting for Lucy to get started here, she is maybe not well known, especially for those of us on the West Coast. She's from Rhode Island, and she recently graduated from the Rhode Island School of Design. She considers herself more of an outdoor climber, and she's been sending a lot of 8A, V11 boulder problems this year and then the last couple of years. So she is definitely a strong competitor. She has a lot of ability that I think we'll see tonight. Last night she said she didn't know what to expect. She hadn't competed at this level really. She'd never traveled really this far for a competition. And so she's excited, and she just was happy to make it to finals. So I think we're excited to see how she does tonight.
Yes, and quickly getting back to the scoring system we have, the competitor with the highest cumulative score after these 4 climbs will be crowned the champion. Attempts to their high hold will also go into their final score. So let's say it takes them 3 tries to get to the finish hold. They'll be deducted for every one of those tries that they did not get to that finish. And they will be deducted 1/10 of a point. So flashing a climb or getting it on your first try, you'll get 25 points. If it takes you 2 tries, you'll be awarded 24.9 points. So I got a feeling, Molly, that at the end of the night here, it's going to come down to the amount of tries these climbers put into these boulders.
Yeah, we shall see how that goes. And you'll notice too that the top of each of these boulders has a 25-point mark. So none of these problems are worth more than another.
So we've got 1 more minute before Lucy gets on her first climb.
One thing that Lucy mentioned about last night's qualifiers that I think is worth mentioning is she really appreciated that they also had the zone point value like they do here for the qualifiers. And so sometimes at a competition you get stressed because you're almost to the top but you don't get any points. Here you can get almost to the top and you can gain some points for actually getting that far. Not as much as completing or topping the problem, but certainly worth the effort.
Speaking of stress, I can tell you firsthand, these climbs are really hard. They are very challenging climbs. They are not only challenging physically, but technically and mentally as well. They are tall, they are scary, and as route setters, we tried to test these climbers in every ability, from jumping to balance to grip strength. You name it, these climbers are going to have to go through it tonight.
So our first problem out that Lucy's looking at, tell us what style she's going to be looking at as she climbs up this.
She's going to be looking at a little coordination, a little bit of stemming or kind of climbing out of a chimney, as well as balance and mantling. So there's multiple different techniques that goes into this climb.
And again, she has the green holds. The men are on the pink. So tonight we will be watching the women on these green holds to the top.
So you can see now in view, her left-hand start is a tiny little crimp, which is maybe about half, a little bit less than half the length of your fingertip. And then she also gets that little pyramid volume down in the right to press her right hand on first start as well.
And Matt, I walked up to this wall. Most of this lead wall has a lot of friction. That left wall where her left hand is slick. There is hardly any friction on that. So that should be interesting. It might catch some of our climbers off guard.
Yeah, we had this slab wall with the beautiful skull mural built specifically for this event tonight. So hopefully it'll add a little bit extra spice to this first climb for these climbers.
So here we have Lucy navigating her way toward her first zone, that 5-point. You can see out to the right of her foot. Looks like she's trying to get crunched into a stemming position. Matt, are you thinking she should go out with her right hand first?
Absolutely. This move she's about to attempt, jumping there, is very difficult. She should actually lead into those green pancakes, we like to call them. Lean against that wall, and then she can bring her left foot up onto the lower start hold to then press her way up to that 10-point zone.
But that said, sometimes what the climbers should do is not what they do at all. And sometimes they figure out a way to do it even easier for them. So we shall see. Let's see if she changes her beta for the second time.
There she goes. She's going hand first. She's gained the first zone for 5 points. And there's the 10-point zone as well.
That always feels good. And that left foot, that's a dual texture hold, but she does have a little tiny spot on that she's able to put her foot, which, takes a little bit of attention from the climbers to recognize that there's that little tiny spot there.
And as you can see, she's very hesitant to place that foot on that black surface with no texture.
Looking for that 15-point zone.
She's got it. She's pressing up, and she's topped it.
So we can expect to see this problem getting topped tonight. Maybe even some flashes. That was her second go.
So that will award Lucy with 24.9 points since it took her, she fell one time getting to that finish hold.
So now Lucy gets to sit back down in the chair and face the audience. There's 1 minute and 42 seconds left of her climb. And then she gets another 5-minute rest period before she gets on to women's 2. So there's a definite advantage to finishing quickly on these problems. They get more rest time.
That's right. So up next, in a minute and a half, we've got Ben Hanna. Ben Hanna out of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Ben is a crowd favorite here in Albuquerque, not just because he's a local, but because he, simply put, has the most enthusiastic attitude of probably any climber I've ever seen. I hope we get some close-up shots of his tongue tonight because he loves to climb with his tongue. I'm pretty sure if you told him to keep his tongue in his mouth, he would not make it up the wall.
We have a nickname here for Mr. Ben Hanna, Young Master Hanna. He has a uncanny ability to do insane moves on his first try. Ben recently finished in second place at the 2017 Seco Block Masters in Utah, which is a free soloing competition over a pool. So instead of a rope or pads to protect you from injury, you fall into a giant pool.
And he was so fun to watch. He was so excited. You could see it on his face the entire time. I don't think I've ever enjoyed watching a competition on TV as much as watching Ben on that particular competition. And here we go. We're going to get our first look at men's 1, which is that pink route at the end on that very slick wall. You can see there are a lack of feet to start this problem.
There's a lack of everything on this problem, Molly.
Ben taking his time to figure out what the best plan is. And this is an interesting problem to note because you'll notice there's no 15 point. And that is just part of the route setting on this particular problem. There weren't, there's no 10 point. No, there's no 5 point. So I knew there was missing 1. So at any rate, you don't need to have all the different zones for these problems with the route setting.
So here goes Ben. He's going to try to slowly drop down into that tiny little foothold, which he does successfully on his first try. He's going to slowly reach over to that 10-point zone, but his foot just popped at the last second.
I feel like he was bailing right and hoping to grab that 15-point zone.
Holding his shoulder there a little bit. Hopefully he didn't disrupt anything.
It is so intimidating for a lot of climbers to come out and have a slab for their first problem, because slabs require so much concentration and poise, and you have to really settle into each move. And for Ben to come out and be the first one out and do this is probably a little more stressful.
So now when I say slab climbing, that last view we had there, you could really see that the wall is actually forward from vertical, so he can actually lean forward without holding on to anything. And whereas slab is typically not physically demanding, like you said, Molly, it requires a lot of concentration and patience. So Ben's going to try to, looks like he's going to reach down with his right hand onto that bubbly hold on the right.
That 10-point zone, those two holds right there are not good, as you can see. There's no way you can pull on them. They're just purely for balancing your body as you lean over and hopefully reach down to the 15-point zone hold.
Ben's checking his time, re-chalking his hands.
It's got about 2.5 minutes. There's the tongue. So Ben recently has climbed 2 514Cs, which is incredibly impressive. He's very young. He just graduated high school, and he just goes out and climbs, and he loves to put up his own routes, and he's just super psyched and motivated all the time. And that's how he's gotten so strong.
I think he recently put up the first ascent of a 514D as well here in New Mexico. You can see just how small that foothold is.
There might be some advantage to coming out early, because as more and more climbers come out, these holds may get less good, especially that foothold. We may see other climbers brushing that hold quite a bit. Let's see if he can get over there.
And there it is, the 15-point zone.
And the crowd is excited.
So now I'm sure Ben is pleased to have a little bit of texture on the wall on that right side there.
There he is in true Ben form, getting the crowd behind him. He has 1 minute. And he tops it.
Benjamin Hanna with a top of men's 1.
Big smile.
All smiles there.
That feels so good to get that first one done.
So now just to get you an idea for what this format's going to look like, we'll have Lucy Humphries off of a 5-minute rest from climb 1 attempting women's number 2. And we'll also have Brooke Rabitou, our 7th place qualifier, attempting climb 1 at the same time. So as we go through this competition tonight, Molly, we'll have more and more climbers on the wall. It'll be action all over the place at the same time. So we'll try our best to let you guys know what's not in the camera, you know, what we're seeing, what you're not seeing, and keep you updated on what's going on here.
Yeah, and just a reminder too, if you have any questions for us tonight, you can ask us questions through Twitter. The handle is @USA Climbing, and we will answer the appropriate questions that are asked of us tonight, and the ones that we can actually answer.
So our climbers tonight were not given a preview of these climbs. In some other competition formats, the climbers are allowed to walk around to each problem for, I believe, 2 minutes, Molly, at a time?
Yeah.
They get 2 minutes per climb to preview and discuss beta. Beta is a fancy climber term for the sequence or the order in which you do things, or where you put your hands and feet. They typically get 2 minutes to preview and figure out where to go, but they didn't get that for this competition tonight, so they have to figure that out in that 5 minutes they're given.
And here we are with Brooke Rabitou on her first problem. She's one of our smallest females out tonight, but she's incredibly creative and flexible always in her climbing, so she's not usually shut down by her height. And we're getting our first look at women's 2 with Lucy. And Brooke is on her first attempt. Lucy finagling her way up on top of that volume for women's 2. And the wall kicks back just a little bit right there. So as soon as you stand up, it's almost like you're leaning back to avoid having your face in the wall.
Got a great view here of both Lucy and Brooke. Lucy's just trying to figure out what to do with these next holds.
And there's Brooke looking good for her top. First problem, flash. That's a great way to start. I don't know if you caught her facial expression there, but I think she didn't realize how high off the ground she was until she looked down. That is a tall problem.
So we just saw Lucy attempting to grab that next big scoop hold up on those volumes that are just out of sight right now. And there we go. Big green hold up on those cubes. She attempted to bump her left hand. We intended for that to be a cross. So Lucy's going to need to figure out a slightly different situation with her feet to make that happen. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our former route setters and employees here at Stone Age Climbing Gym. Mr. Shane Halliburton just gave us a shout on Twitter, requesting that we call this the Matt and Molly Show. I believe that's a bit unfair and a little bit biased for Shane since he knows us, but thank you for...
It does have a nice ring.
It does. It does. Thanks for that shout out, Shane. We miss you.
Oh, and here's Lucy facing the crowd this time, trying something a little bit different. It's always a strange feeling because I think you realize when you face the crowd how many people are actually here.
How many people would you predict are here tonight, Molly?
There's a few hundred, I think. There's a lot of people in this crowd.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a shot of it later from one of our cameramen, but we are packed like sardines in here tonight.
So this part of the problem looks like the most challenging. You could see that she had considered bringing her heel up, her right heel, and then decided to go dynamically to it. But how good is that hold up there on the volume, Matt?
Not very good by itself. We actually attached another smaller hold onto it to give you something to grab onto when you do that cross. However, if those feet cut, it's extremely difficult to hold that swing. She's got 30 seconds left. And like Molly said before, after those 30 seconds are up, wherever she is, she must drop down.
She's going to have to move quickly to get to the top. Ten seconds. See if she throws the heel again or goes dynamic. And another dynamic attempt. And that'll be it for Lucy on problem 2. I think it's possible that Lucy may have injured herself on the fall off that problem. So we may have a minute before the next climber is out. I hope she's okay.
So up next we have Austin Guyman on men's 1. Much taller than Ben Hanna, so it'll be interesting to see what he does to try to make it through this climb.
And men's 2, out again, Ben Hanna.
Much different in style, men's 2 than men's 1.
There's a lot of space between the first holds on men's 2 and the second holds on men's 2. Am I right to assume there's going to be some excitement from that first hold to the second?
That's right. It's a bit of a jump, or in the climbing world, what we call a dyno for dynamic movement. Ben's lining it up.
Oh, that was very close. And the shirt comes off.
That was quick.
So is Austin Guyman going to have a little advantage? Oh, nice, Ben. I was wondering if he would have an advantage for his height.
It's hard to say. He'll be able to reach holds further away, but for him to get his center of gravity where Ben did, may be a little bit more challenging.
Ben looks very comfortable on this problem. And an excited Ben. Again, 2 attempts from this problem. He's having a nice finals round so far.
2 tops, those are nice big points for Mr. Hanna. Now,
and a send from Austin. Was that his first go?
that was his second go, I believe. Now, another technical rule for those of you new to competition climbing, the 5, 10, and 15-point zones only need to be controlled with one hand for those points to be earned. However, the finish hold, worth 25 points, in order to be controlled, needs to have 2 hands matched on the finish hold for them to get those points.
And we had a question from Juan Lobo. What's with the artwork? So Matt, I think you are more familiar with the art story on the walls here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so our MC tonight, Mr. Aaron Stromberg, an Albuquerque native. He is a route setter, a coach, and our local artist here on staff. He drew that design on that slab. We have that on our event t-shirts this year, and I believe that was done freehand.
He's pretty talented, and I think he's well connected to the art community. Last night during open qualifiers, there was actually also a community art show happening at the same time. During this whole Yank-N-Yard, it's actually a week-long event of a variety of community events, starting with the art show and the open qualifiers.
So he's got a nice shot there of our crowd. As you can see, we are packed to the brim.
We had a face painter here today as well during at least the kids' comp, and so a lot of our youth competitors have some pretty cool face artwork going on. A lot of our local team kids also dressed up in skeleton costumes and a variety of, I saw tutus and all kinds of fun costumes today from our youth competitors to celebrate. I believe it's the Day of the Dead.
I think so. We also have an assortment of stencils on our other volumes, or large holds attached to the wall where other holds are attached to, and those stencils are also all done by Mr. Aaron Stromberg. I think he has a mural in town somewhere too in Albuquerque.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I don't know where, but I've heard that.
Yeah.
And we have Meagan Martin getting ready to start, a huge smile on her face as she watches the clock. She always comes out with so much confidence. And we'll see Brooke on women's 2. And these two ladies both come from Team ABC. Meagan Martin is a coach there, and Brooke is a athlete on Team ABC.
That's got to be an interesting dynamic, climbing next to your coach.
Yeah, and you know, they competed a lot this year together. They traveled the lead circuit together, which was Meagan's first year really doing much with the lead climbing. And so I think that was a little bit of, you know, coach turned student at some points, because Brooke's lead experience is pretty extensive. They're both navigating their way up the first couple of moves.
So, and just a quick update on Lucy. Looks like she's getting her ankle wrapped. Must have rolled it, taking that fall on that last attempt. We'll keep you updated on that if we get more information.
I love watching Brooke climb. She's always so poised and so calm. She climbs with such a seasoned air about her, and it is true, she is very seasoned. And there goes Meagan for the top. Hopefully she has to match that.
Okay, another view back to Brooke. She's making this look a lot easier than it actually is. Talking about that poise she has.
And flexibility.
Yeah, she tried a little foot first method there. I'm not sure if that's going to work for her. She's got the heel hook she needs.
She had some airtime off that. Yeah, it seems that the only way you're going to be able to stick that hold is through figuring out a way to control yourself, to keep your body in, and the only way to do that probably is with a heel.
Yeah, she had that heel hook on the 5-point zone on those orange volumes there. Unfortunately, when she went for that next handhold, that heel popped out and she was unable to control that swing.
So Brooke has been climbing since she was 1, which is really incredible.
Yeah, how is that possible? I don't think I was even walking at 1.
I don't know, my son started climbing about 1.5, and that was pretty much as early as we could do it. We have about 2 minutes left on the clock.
Fun fact about Brooke Rabatou, she was the 2016 All-Around Youth World Champion. So that includes sport climbing, bouldering, and speed climbing. #1 in the world. Pretty impressive.
And this year at the Youth Worlds, she was 2nd for lead, 3rd for boulder.
So there's Brooke setting that right heel hook, lining up the next jump.
And she sticks it.
There we have it, our first top of women's 2. Very impressive.
The crowd is absolutely excited right now. She looks pretty excited too.
Okay, we've got a question on Twitter from Woody Walters. How tall are the walls? They are about 16 to 18 feet tall, depending upon which climb you're on and how high up it goes, but roughly 16 to 18 feet. Got another question on Twitter from Nick Haskins. What do these problems average on a V scale? That's a very, very common question that I've heard on competition live streams through the years, and I'm going to give the same answer that the other outsiders give, and it's hard to give these problems a V grade. You know, they could be anywhere from V5 to V11. It's really hard to tell. We just try to incorporate challenging styles and intricate movements to challenge these climbers on every scale. So to give it a V grade is kind of tough.
And we're getting our first look at Nick Milburn as he eyes up men's 1. Nick's another one of our taller climbers.
So our athletes were given a questionnaire to fill out when they registered for the open category, and one of the questions was, what is one interesting fact about you? And Nick Milburn says, quote, I have a decent axe collection, end quote.
Okay.
It's good to know.
It's good to have hobbies outside of climbing. We can see Ben down on men's 3, figuring out those 2 triangles.
Beautiful grab from Ben Hanna on men's 3.
The amount of shoulder strength that was required on that catch is baffling to me.
And in perfect timing, Austin Guyman sticks the dyno on men's 2. Got a perfect view of those two. Ben showing his sport climbing skills, getting a quick rest and chalking up on men's 3 before trying to tackle these volumes.
Nick trying some maybe unconventional beta as he traverses his way across that slab.
Ben Hanna 1 hold away from topping men's 3. I believe this is his first try as well.
Yeah. Now it looks like that match is going to be incredibly difficult. That volume looks hard to grab with both hands. But he still has 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. And here we are looking again at Nick Milburn, see if he tries something different with his beta. Looks like he's going back to the original plan.
Austin Guyman 1 hold away from topping men's 2. Hopefully I don't give him the commentator's curse.
And well-controlled top for Austin Guyman. Nick Milburn has made his way across that wall on men's 1, which seems to be the crux for many of these climbers so far tonight.
But again, now he's got himself twisted up again, facing away from the wall, which sometimes works. Not so sure about this climb, though.
He doesn't look so certain himself that this is the right plan, but he's going to go with it.
Watching Nick in qualifiers last night, though, he is a strong climber. If anybody can pull themselves out of this corner, it's him.
All right, turning himself around, probably a good plan tonight for him. And establishes the match. Well done from Nick.
And now all eyes on Ben Hanna.
With just over a minute left, he has time to do this problem.
My shoulders hurt just watching him hold that. Young Master Hanna.
You can see every bit of try hard on Ben's face when he's climbing. He's one of the more expressive climbers out there.
Another question on the questionnaire for these competitors was, what is your favorite aspect of climbing? And Ben Hanna's is trying hard.
Well, let's see how he tries hard and finishes this problem.
Most likely his last try, he only has 30 seconds remaining.
Oh.
Waves to the crowd, good sport. Out next for the women on climb 1 will be Natalia Grossman.
Yeah, Natalia's another one of those Team ABC kids. So actually right now on the wall, all we see are Team ABC people out right now. Natalia had a really strong qualifying yesterday, beating out her coach, Meagan, and her teammate, Brooke. One thing I can say about Natalia is from Matt Foltz, who is also her coach. He was telling me how she's super dedicated, but one of the best things about her on the team is how encouraging she is to her other teammates. So that's awesome to see in a young person. It's an important component of being a good competitor.
So we just got another interesting question on Twitter from Joshua Grant. Is there a tiebreaker climb? If there is a tie in finals in the women's category, we will actually count back to the qualifying round to break that tie. So the only tie we're worried about breaking tonight is between Kai Laettner and Nathaniel Coleman in the men's category.
You can see Brooke working her way up women's 3. If you've been paying attention to Brooke tonight, you'll notice that she takes her time and finds the absolutely best way for her to make her way up the climb. So sometimes she'll try a couple things, then take a moment and chalk.
The real challenge on this climb is keeping the friction on that right foot. You can see her not really wanting to stand up on it, but unfortunately she has to.
Ooh, wow. So another thing that was mentioned about Natalia is that she is incredible at slabs. So we should be interested to see how she does on this one at the top, but also women's 3. Matt Foltz called her a slab master.
We've got Brooke back up on women's 3. Trying to figure out her way up this large volume here on the right side of our wall.
And there's that classic Brooke flexibility. Pretty sure that girl can heel hook anything.
One of the big challenges with competition climbing is figuring out the easiest sequence up the wall, and Brooke just tried something a little different. She tried dropping down into those volumes to try to climb up them with her hands instead of her feet. And as setters, we knew this was going to be much harder for the climbers to make their way up. So I think Brooke's going to realize that and try the first method on her third attempt.
So Meagan is essentially trying the same beta that Brooke used to finish that, or to get that hold on that women's 2 problem. But the difference is Meagan's trying to catch it with one hand, while Brooke caught it with one hand and then immediately came in with her right. We have 1 minute remaining on this attempt, or this climb. Brooke's had a really good year, too, climbing on the adult circuit. She finished in 3rd at ABS Nationals last year, which was the first year she was old enough to climb in open. She also finished 9th at the Vail World Cup, which was really impressive, again, for somebody so young and new.
15 seconds left on the clock.
That'll probably be it for Meagan.
As well as Brooke. And now up on men's 1, we've got our shortest competitor, Sean Bailey. He's recently put in a lot of good work overseas in the Lead World Cup competitions. He is currently ranked 8th in the world. And he actually just won the Portland Boulder Rally bouldering competition, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago? And then earlier this year in June, he finished top 10 in the qualifiers at the Vail Bouldering World Cup. So Sean is definitely a very well-rounded climber. Definitely somebody to keep your eye out for in the future. And we've got our first look now at all 4 problems being climbed at the same time.
Nick just caught that dyno in style. He looked very comfortable on that move.
Was that his first try?
I think it was his first try, but I could be wrong.
I was just trying to figure out how to get into those next sloper underclings. We've got our first look at men's 4 with Ben Hanna.
On that men's 4, that wall is getting progressively steeper in that orange section that he's in, which only makes it more challenging kind of the higher he gets on it. Austin sticking that shoulder move. Ben showing off his flexibility through that section.
He looks
nearly doing the splits.
He looks comfortable, but I assure you he is not.
I can't imagine he is.
He's got 2 toe hooks now on that first zone as he reaches up for that next hold. Austin Guyman here on men's 3 trying to wrestle those volumes. There are no holds attached to those volumes.
And to make matters worse, you're eyeing a top hold that just isn't good either.
So close, yet so far away. Sean Bailey falling on the drop down press move on men's 1.
Nick makes that first move on men's 2 look so fun, but I know that it has got to be challenging.
It's fun when you grab the holds. It's not fun when you don't make them.
Ben throwing a knee bar and sneaking a rest off that smear. Oh.
So we got another great question on Twitter from Juan Lobo. What is the rationale behind the point system? In past competitions, whether international or here in the United States, in Europe and in international competitions, there are only 1 zone hold. And previously in USA Climbing, each hold was given a point value. The rationale behind this point system is that the 5, 10, and 15 point zones track your progression through the climb. So let's say you don't finish a single climb, you still have a chance to win if you make it to those 15 point zones. In the past, the odds were against you if you did not finish a single climb. So this hopefully levels the playing field a bit and makes it a little bit more fair for every competitor.
And sorry to interrupt, but Nick Milburn is to the top of men's 2.
And I believe that's Sean Bailey's first time getting over to the 15-point zone on men's 1.
Seeing some good action on the wall right now.
Another great fight from Ben Hanna and Sean Bailey.
Has 4 seconds. Woo.
Down to the wire, finishes the climb with 2 seconds remaining.
That's a relief. Next out, Sierra Blair Coyle. Out on women's 1. She is one of the most seasoned competitors. She spends more time on the World Cup circuit than any U.S. climber, and she has progressively been getting better and better and better. This year, she consistently was making semifinals at World Cups, and if she ever missed semis, it was just still top 30. So she's been really showing her ability as a competitor in the last couple years.
And as I said earlier with the men's climbs, this is our first look at all 4 women's finals problems. So keep an eye out on Brooke on women's 4. This, I guess, 3rd or 4th move on this problem is a lot of fun to try as well to watch. So keep your eyes out on Brooke.
Natalia is trying to figure out just the best way to start women's 2. Sometimes those big block volumes are hard to figure out exactly how to get started. You certainly don't want to waste an attempt having the wrong start.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to grab those holds. And Sierra looking good on women's 1. Pressing her way out to the finish hold.
And that looked very easy for Sierra. Sierra's our tallest female competitor. I think she's 5'8".
Looks like Natalia figured out that opening move, and she's working her way up into those volumes. Same as Brooke. All right, now watch Brooke as she composes herself before this big jump to the volume.
That's a pretty big span from this point over to the next.
But watching Brooke jump on women's one, I've got faith that she'll make this move work as well.
It looks to me like she needs to get to that jug,
Right.
not to the hold that she just went to when she jumped Brooke.
Yeah, so the intention there for that move was to jump past the hold she touched, grab the big jug with the left hand, and then catch that first hold with the right to stop herself from swinging.
Jody R., thank you for that question. That is something we did not mention. There are 4 problems for each gender. So we see Brooke on her final problem.
Can I see that? Jody R. That's my mom. Hi, Mom. Thanks for asking questions. The obligatory mom shout out.
Your mom's on Twitter. That's impressive. I don't think you're on Twitter, Matt.
I'm not on Twitter. Another good shot of Meagan here, trying to wrestle her way up these volumes.
Oh, unfortunate foot slip. A little more control might be required for her through that.
And all eyes on Brooke now as she checks the time.
She's got plenty, a little over a minute left. See if she goes a little bit further to that jug. Yep.
And there it is. Sticks the double clutch.
That looks fun.
Okay, let's see her try to wrestle her way up these slopers to the top.
And this problem Brooke's on is getting steep.
And the holds do not get better. She goes, lining up for the finish move. And there it is. Brooke Rabitou with a great finals round.
She is doing really well.
3 tops.
3 tops, yes. 30 seconds remain.
So we'll try to keep you updated on the scores here. I believe USA Climbing at usaclimbing.org has the live results coming in as they're submitted. But they may not be updated right away, so keep checking back. Out next on men's one, we've got Matt Foltz. Looked really strong on the qualifying problems yesterday.
Well, I imagine he is really strong. Matt, tell us a little bit about Matt Foltz's September or September he's had.
Yes, September. Since the beginning of September, Matt Foltz, according to his 8A scorecard online, has sent 2 V10s, 5 V11s, 4 V12s, 5 V13s, and 2 V14s.
That's not a bad September.
Yeah, so Matt, like Molly said earlier, Matt recently moved to Colorado, and he has wasted no time getting out to Rocky Mountain National Park and just destroying hard boulder problems.
Yeah, he was telling me he had a little downtime before starting work, so he treated it like a climbing trip.
A little downtime.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see how he does today.
Okay, we got Austin Guyman looking pretty comfortable there on the double toe hooks. Looking strong with that release.
And this is a high point for that problem, correct?
That is, unfortunately, the 15-point zone is not for another 2 or 3 holds. And I think he just missed the 10-point zone on that bump around the corner, just out of our view.
So while point value didn't change It was still maybe a high point just in our viewers' eyes.
Now, just to make a point, Mr. Sean Bailey, our shortest competitor, made very quick work of that giant dyno on men's 2. So don't count him out just because he's the shortest. And another top on men's 2. Matt Foltz still trying to figure out that walk across on men's 1.
I was trying to get Matt to tell me what his least favorite type of climbing is, or when he turns around what he doesn't want to see. And he maybe implied that slabs weren't his favorite, but he really prides himself in being kind of an all-around climber. Although truthfully his answer was, I like jugs close together. Who doesn't? And
interesting fact about Matt Foltz, quote, I'm good at juggling, end quote. It's got to be a good skill to have for those coordination moves.
And here we see Austin again. Hopefully he can secure some of those zone holds.
There it is, the 10-point zone.
And the crowd's getting behind Austin. Matt's looking at the top of men's 1.
Nick Milburn trying to figure out that jump on men's 3. So I guess referring back to the question about the difficulty of these climbs, Matt Foltz, very strong climber, climbs V13, V14, and I'd have to probably say that slab climb is probably no harder than V7 or V8, and it took him a couple tries. So it's not so much about how hard you can climb, but how quickly you can figure out these climbs in 5 minutes.
And we've got all the other elements at play here. Time, pressure, the audience.
Nick Milburn placed second last year at the Yank-N-Yard.
I like the way Nick did that move there to that second triangle. It was more efficient. He didn't seem to expend as much energy as that shouldery move that the other competitors were using. Only 13 seconds left, so that's probably it for these climbers.
About to come out on women's 1 is Maya Madere, 18 years old, out of Austin, Texas. Recently took second place at the 2017 Youth Bouldering World Championships in Innsbruck, Austria.
And Maya's not all bronze. She is brains too. She was accepted into Stanford this year, but she decided to take a gap year and focus on her climbing. So she will be heading to Stanford next fall to study biology.
Maya also hates centipedes and got her start in climbing when she discovered she could climb out of her crib at 18 months old.
Much to her parents' dismay.
Got a nice view of all 4 climbers at the same time here. Still yet to see a top on women's 3. Maybe Natalia over here can figure out how to work her way up this tricky volume slab climb.
As I mentioned, her coach, Matt, called her a technician and slab master, so perhaps she will be the one to do it.
And still all 4 girls on the wall at the same time. Meagan Martin crushing that jump on women's 4. campusing her way up without her feet to that next hold.
I suppose it was all that ninja training that she's been doing, maybe in addition to the Ultimate Spartan Challenge she did this year. Oh, an unfortunate fall from Meagan. I thought for sure she was going to top that.
Yeah, it seemed like her foot just slipped off there. She lost control. Because again, a couple hours ago, I was up there trying these problems out, making sure they went as hard as they need to be, and those holds are not good.
Maya rocking the knee smear to top that problem. Use all your body parts. And again, I'm curious to see how Natalia does. I would love to see a top from her on this problem.
So you mentioned being able to use any part of your body to make your way up the wall. I've seen people use their face, their knees, elbows. The only thing they can't use on these walls are the advertisers' placards, the zone placards, and then all those tiny little holes you see on the wall where the other holds are attached to. Those T-nut holes are off limits. Besides that, anything goes.
Meagan choosing the campus method. Probably more efficient, although sometimes a little more daring, more potential for falls. Hopefully she gets all the way to the top on this one.
One more move.
Yes. And a wave and smile to the crowd. She looks very happy. Excellent dismount. Sierra's taken a minute to look at women's 2.
Got 1 minute remaining. Natalia's still trying to figure out what comes after this 10-point zone on women's 3.
Sierra has her very own home gym that is set only with comp style problems. Maybe the only gym really in the country that's like that. And I think that's really helped her develop as a competitive climber.
Now, Molly, you mentioned comp style problems. As a route setter at a commercial gym like this, we typically don't set comp style problems every day of the week. We've got all different abilities that come into our gym here, so we need to set for beginners and experts alike. How would you describe a comp style problem in comparison to just your run-of-the-mill commercial gym boulder problem?
Well, comp style problems definitely involve more coordination at times, jumps, things that require maybe a run across or a dyno, things that you might not see typically in outdoor climbing. As climbing's progressed over the years, we've moved away from how hard can you pull on a small crimp to how can you move your body in interesting ways to catch holds.
Got our first look over here on men's 1 of Carlo Traverse. I know Carlo is currently in the works of opening up his own chain of gyms out in California. He recently climbed V14 in April in Fontainebleau, France. And on August 31st and September 2nd, he put up 2 first ascents in Rocky Mountain National Park, both clocking in at V13. So Carlo still getting it done outside as well as inside. And for those of you who don't know the grading scale, V13 is pretty darn hard. The hardest thing out there right now is a V17, and it's only been done by one person, so that's yet to be confirmed. There's a handful of 16s, and then if you climb anything over V7, you're trying hard. So V13, it's up there.
Sean's looking pretty good on men's 3. He looks very controlled as he moved through that 10-point zone. Campusing his way for a moment through those terrible triangles. He doesn't need feet. He's strong enough.
Wow. Defying gravity on those volumes, Sean Bailey.
And Matt's on the wall still, looking pretty good as he moves his way through that roof. Crowd's getting behind him as he finds his feet. And a top for Matt Foltz. And he has 2.5 minutes left in his round, so that's a nice little rest for him before his next go.
So you don't get to see the climbers walk away after they finish a climb, but Matt has returned to his seat facing away from the wall. So he is not able to see the other competitors attempt the climbs he still needs to attempt. A great view of Carlo here, trying to creep his way across this slab and just missing the foothold. Sean Bailey making the dyno look easy again. Chalking up before figuring his way out through these volumes.
And Nick just not able to keep his toe hook on as he comes around for that match. So much tension required for Nick on men's 4. I wonder if men's 4 had appeared earlier in the order, perhaps men's 1, if they would have climbed it stronger, if they would have felt stronger on it because it requires so much body tension. Are these guys getting tired?
Yeah, that's all part of the planning as the route setting team set these climbs. You know, we knew they'd be tired coming into this 4th boulder, and that's all part of the strategy. So you need to pay attention to the clock and how much time you have left, as well as, you know, is it worth another attempt? Am I going to get higher than my previous attempt?
I, for one, always appreciate the slab on the last problem.
Absolutely.
Here we are with about 35 seconds left. Got 2 athletes on the wall. It looks like Carlo's going to hop up too for another go.
Sean Bailey looking good.
You could see Nick take a deep breath as he put his toe hook in. One last effort, and he's not able to keep that toe hook. And that's it for all the climbers on this round.
We're moving right along here tonight. We've got our 2nd place qualifier from the women's field coming up on women's 1, Miss Tyra Conde.
Kyra's been tearing it up lately. She was the 2017 winner of the Seco block, and she was so fun to watch. She won the Waco Rock Rodeo, PBR, the Portland Boulder Rally, 2nd at the Austin Boulder Project. So she's just been crushing this year, although truthfully she's been doing well for a few years now.
Kyra has sent V12 outside and is also amazing at jigsaw puzzles. So her problem-solving skills will need to be on point tonight to try to make it through this finals round on top.
Kyra was telling me that she is finishing her classwork in December, and then she has a number of hours she has to do anywhere she wants, really, to complete her major, which I believe is pre-vet. So she's thinking about going to Salt Lake to do that so she can climb. And there she is with the top. And she has 3 minutes and 40 seconds left of her round, so a lot of time to rest, which is pretty typical for Kyra's style. recognizing that she needs to figure out how to make that heel stay to make this next move. But that looks like a tricky and very small heel to actually keep on the wall while you make that move. Again, if you have questions for us, we're on Twitter @USA Climbing. You can ask us questions about the competition tonight, or the competitors, or the National Cup Series.
Sierra looks like she's getting the high point on women's 3. So in case you missed it earlier in the live stream, we had mentioned that these competitors are duking it out to earn themselves ranking points for the National Cup Series, which consists of 4 competitions and finishes at the National Championships as the 5th competition in Salt Lake City. They are also fighting for a $10,000 cash purse tonight to be divided amongst the 16 finalists, with $1,500 going to the first place finisher. As well as $10,000 additional for the National Cup champions at the end of the season.
So at ABS Nationals, we'll crown not only the national champion, but also the National Cup Series champion. They may or may not be the same person.
Yeah, with these styles of competitions, Molly, if you make it to finals, you've got a chance of winning. Mistakes happen, and anybody can win.
Just a little over a minute left for these competitors on this round.
Now, Molly, as a seasoned competitor, does the clock move faster when you're on the floor climbing? Because these 5 minutes have been flying by.
It depends on how you feel about the climb. If you're struggling with the first couple moves, that 5 minutes can take forever. But if you're wanting to get to the top, sometimes it feels like I've only done 2 attempts and the time is up. I'm thinking Sierra's height could actually help her out a little bit on women's 3. Oh, that was a really good effort. Matt, based on your setting, could what Sierra just did work to stick that hold?
Unfortunately, her right hand, when she went up, is not as good as if she had bumped it up further along that volume.
Nice. Natalia sticking that one hand. A little show for the crowd with just 9 seconds remaining. We'll see if she can execute.
Natalia grabbed the 10-point zone, but
and that's it.
Unfortunately, her time ran out.
But worth it to get to that 10-point zone.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, I got a feeling this comp is going to come down to attempts. So the fact that she was able to grab those points in the last second will hopefully help her out at the end for the final scores.
Another really fun fact about Matt Foltz, I asked him if there was anything outside of climbing he was into or if there's anything we should know. He responded simply, with a very straight face, that he's into writing romance fan fiction. You can research that on the internet and see if it's true or not.
So out first on men's 1, not out first, but our first time seeing him, is one of our competitors tied for first place right now, Nathaniel Coleman. Nathaniel Coleman has a very impressive track record. He is the 2-time defending USA Climbing Bouldering National Champion. And I believe it was 2 years ago, had 2 silver medals at World Cup competitions for bouldering.
Carlo made very, very quick work of men's. Was that 2?
Men's 2, yeah. And more impressively for Nathaniel, last year at the Bouldering National Championships, he took first place. Not only did he take first place, he flashed every single climb in finals. So flashed, for those of you who don't know, climbing lingo, flash means 1 try. he walked out and did every climb on his first try.
The power's in the man bun.
So I've heard. I had a man bun last summer.
And did you climb stronger?
I cannot confirm that I climbed stronger or not.
No. So it only works for some.
Nathaniel just trying to find his balance before standing up. To the finish hold.
And that match. Nice for Nathaniel.
Big smile, looked like a little sigh of relief that his feet stayed.
Here we have Matt. He's managed to stand up on that first move. He's having just a little trouble at the beginning, but now he's cruising along.
He's having a hard time getting that left foot up.
Matt has very powerful shoulders, so I suspect he's going to be able to pull through this less than ideal spot. The crowd is absolutely behind him. He is wanting it so bad. That was a lot of energy.
Yeah, you can see Matt, he is brushing his holds. Molly, what's the benefit? What's the reason for brushing your holds?
Well, especially coming out a little bit later, these holds have gotten a lot more chalk and hand sweat on them. So it helps these climbers figure out or make sure that the holds are prepared for them. But also it's kind of nice to use the brush sometimes because you can sort of tell the angles of the hold and you can sort of see what the best spot is to hold. So Matt could be using that a little bit to figure out where he needs to jump and grab to next time. Got just a little over a minute left.
See both climbers just trying to catch their breath.
You'll notice a lot of these climbers, unless they are falling on the first moves, will take really just 2 or 3 attempts on these problems. And that's to conserve energy. 5 minutes between problems is not much rest time. If you're really pumped, you're not going to recover. Brotherton on Twitter is asking about seeing some of these climbers in the Olympics in a few years. Let's see out the last 20 seconds of this climb and we'll get back to that question. Come on, Matt. So close. So with the Olympics, I believe a lot of these competitors have the Olympics in the back of their mind. Because of the combined format having to do speed and lead, not all of these climbers are what would consider themselves lead climbers and speed climbers, especially the older ones that maybe have never done speed climbing, because that has typically been and traditionally been a youth sport. So I think that we're going to see a lot of our younger competitors kind of reaching toward that Olympic goal.
And out on women's one, we've got our first place qualifier for the women's, Alex Puccio.
And she was our champion last year at the Yank-N-Yard.
And our national champion for bouldering as well, correct?
Many, many, many times, yes.
Many times.
She recently won the Adidas Rock Stars, which was a really fun competition to watch. If you did not catch that one, I recommend going back and watching it. It's always a good one. Kyra, again, making quick work. Oh my gosh. That was a wild explosion off of that problem for Kyra. She's already had one attempt on her problem, while Alex Puccio is just making her way up the start of women's one. That just shows different styles between these competitors. Some get after it, and others take a few moments to scope out the climb.
Yeah, so speaking of the Olympics, that's going to be one of the interesting things to see is, you know, Alex Puccio is arguably one of the best competition boulders in the world, but I don't know if she even owns a harness to lead climb or speed climb.
She did do lead climbing nationals a couple years ago and did pretty well. So she can lead climb.
So it seems like it's going to be a matter of training. You know,
Yeah.
taking the time to be balanced in both bouldering, lead climbing, and speed climbing.
Sierra up here looking very strong on women's 4. It'd be a nice finish, and Sierra and Kyra, catching and sticking that on women's 2. Amazing finish from Kyra. A lot of action right now. Got about 2.5 minutes left in this round. Sierra's gonna have to figure out the top part of that problem before she hops on again. She's not quite sure what the beta is. Maya taking her time navigating this layback slab.
Trying to secure the first top here on women's 3 with just over 2 minutes remaining.
So now that we've seen a fair number of climbers come through, Matt, how do you feel about the setting? Do you think it was appropriately challenging for these climbers tonight?
I think so. I think, you know, we still haven't seen tops on a few of these climbs. However, Kai Laettner still hasn't come out. Alex Puccio just came out. You know, we're hoping that each climb gets topped by at least one climber. So still holding on to hope here that these last few climbs get topped by one of our competitors. But overall, I mean, we've seen some flashes. We've seen climbs get topped after a couple tries, and that's what you like to see. You like to see people finishing climbs, getting high up, and making progress, and hopefully splitting the pack. So far, I'd like to think we've done our job in separating the field. We've got 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining as Sierra probably get one last attempt here on women's 4, and Maya's going to try to dance her way up this slabby volume.
Maya's going for one last attempt, likely, with 40 seconds remaining. I like Sierra's beta through that. She's the only one that's done it that way, and possibly she's the only one that was tall enough to do it that way, but it's very controlled. With just 10 seconds remaining, I'm not sure Sierra has enough time. She's going to have to move.
3, 2, 1.
So we can look forward to the next National Cup Series competition happening December 15th and 16th in Austin at the Crux Climbing Center. The next one after that will be January 5th and 6th, and that one is in Birmingham, Alabama. And that one is returning again for a second year. So the Yank-N-Yard and the Birmingham comp were the 2 comps that were in the National Cup Series last year. And then, of course, we finish off the whole thing with the Bouldering Nationals, which will be in February.
So on the left of your screen, we've got Kai Laettner about to attempt men's number 1. Kai, interestingly enough, qualified in first place with 2 injured thumbs. As soon as he finished his qualifying round, he had ice packs wrapped around his hands, and we were questioning whether or not he'd be all right to climb tonight, but here he is, looking strong in this first mantle on men's 1, and hopefully that injury won't hinder him through the rest of this round.
And Kai is so fun to watch. He's so creative because he is so tall and he has such a long ape index. His wingspan is incredible. And so he does climb with a lot of creativity and flexibility that you might not expect from somebody his size. And Nathaniel Coleman finishing men's 2 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. Oh my gosh, Kai. Kai attempted to jump all the way across to the other side. It almost looked doable.
Carlo's having a tough time figuring out this starting stand-up move on men's 3. Requires a flexible hips and a strong leg to do a one-legged squat on.
Yeah, it took Matt a few tries to figure out how to stand up on that as well.
I found, for me personally, placing my left foot where he's putting his right foot was an easier way to stand up on this slab.
That is counterintuitive. You can see just how long Kai's arms are as he stands up on that first hold. He had his arms outstretched, and they took up almost the entire wall.
Recently, Kai Laettner was 3rd at the World Youth Championships in both lead climbing and the combined category. And he's also the defending USA Climbing lead national champion from 2017.
Yeah, so maybe that's one we can look at is having the Olympics in his vision. He's both a very strong boulder and strong route climber. I don't know how he does in speed.
Yeah, I gotta say, from everyone I've spoken with, speed climbing is definitely going to be the most challenging discipline to be proficient at. It's not like these bouldering competitions or the lead competitions where these climbers are given routes and climbs they've never seen before. The speed climbing route never changes. So you can practice that route over and over and over again. I gotta assume some of the best ones out there right now could probably do it blindfolded.
Again, if you have questions for us tonight, you can reach out to us through Twitter at USA Climbing.
You have 1 minute remaining. Last minute, son. Come on, guys. You got this. Let's do it. Come on, guys.
We have just 48 seconds left, so this round is going to wrap up quickly. These guys are looking for a send, all 3 on at the same time. Taking a quick glance at the clock before he goes, and he doesn't quite make it across. With just 12 seconds left, Kai is going to go again.
So we just had a great view of Matt Foltz on men's 4. He flipped his right hand before releasing that toe hook. There is actually a very small screw on hold to flip that right hand to. So can't really see it on the camera, but I assure you it is there.
So was Kai our first male that didn't top men's 1?
I believe so.
You got Alex Puccio on Olympics number 2. Tyra Conde on Olympics number 3. And Maya there on the flying flag Olympics number 4.
I'm excited to see how Alex does on this problem. I think she's going to do super well on it. It seems to me that it'll be something that's absolutely up her alley.
It's always fun watching Alex in this type of format. She is so strong that she typically does things that no other climber is capable of doing. I believe 3 weeks ago, up in Montreal, she was at a competition. She stuck a move, then cut her feet, and while hanging on one arm, chalked up.
Yeah, I remember that move. That was something that only Puccio would do, I think. And it was absolutely a crowd pleaser. Everybody loved it.
Did she blow the chalk off her hand too afterwards?
She probably did.
Yeah.
In my mind, she did. So here she is going up. See if she throws that heel hook. surprising fall for Alex. I did not expect to see that. Meanwhile, Tyra is looking at the top of women's 3. That was amazing.
That just made all the route setters very happy.
That was exciting. She looks very, very happy too. I was not watching her, so I do not know what she did. I was watching Alex.
In classic Kyra fashion, she just ran up those volumes.
Yeah, it happened before anybody had a chance to look. Kyra climbs so fast, and it's something that's really kind of a signature thing for her. And I think that's what really made her the winner of the Seco block. I mean, who could climb faster than Kyra? And I think that a lot of times that's good because she ends up not wasting nearly as much energy. She just gets up the route. Yesterday, I overheard her telling another climber, "Oh yeah, I just moved really quick right there."
Got Alex Puccio again here on women's 2. Hoping to stick this giant cross move. Looking composed.
A quick wave to the crowd.
And a top on women's 2 for Alex Puccio. And now all eyes on Maya on women's 4 with a minute and a half remaining. She's come very close to sticking that dyno move, but she's taking a different approach. She's trying something similar to what Sierra did, where she is pausing on the first hold before jumping out to the second one. And unfortunately just hasn't quite gotten the grip she needs to progress through those moves.
Please hold the palms and watch the T3 and strategizing.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Maya's probably going to enjoy climbing in her hometown for the next National Cup competition next month.
Maya's lining up for this jump move.
And with just 22 seconds left, she doesn't have time for another attempt. We have a question from Tackable, I think, on Twitter. They asked if competitors can fall into the crowd. No, they cannot. We have people along the mats there that are helping kind of keep people spotted on. As well as the fact that the paddings do come all the way out as far as they need to. So I think the likelihood of somebody coming out beyond the padding would be pretty unlikely.
So there we have it. We are at the tail end of our competition here at the Yank-N-Yard at Stone Age Climbing Gym in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Problem 1 is officially over for both the men and women as Kai Laettner easily flashes that first move on men's 2.
That was way too easy for Kai.
And so after having a rough time on men's 1 on that slab climb, he made very, very quick work of the dynamic jump moves there on men's 2.
And you wonder how much of that's in the back of his mind. He probably knows everybody else sent men's 1. So now has he put extra pressure on himself to do all of the other men's problems and hopefully flash them?
Carlo looking really comfortable there in those pinches in the roof. Flipping that right hand to that jib I had mentioned.
Making it look like a jug, which it is not.
Establishes the 10-point zone. New high point.
Looking for the top. And we have a top. Traverse. He shows his experience and just true strength on men's 4. It's a great way to finish the comp for him.
Now that was a close call there, Molly. Was that a 2-second control on the finish hold for Carlo?
I wondered the same thing, but I think they gave it to him.
You have to assume he had control with that celebration there, but
Yeah. It might have been wise to stay just a moment longer, but
forget who it was at the World Cup a few years ago. They grabbed, I think it was a guy from France. He grabbed the finish hold, one arm locked off, turned to the crowd, cheered, and then as he went to go match the finish hold, slipped off and fell.
oh. Nathaniel looking very strong on those triangles. To have your feet cut and still stay on is very impressive.
And with Carlo's top of men's 4, men's 3 is now the only problem we have not seen a top on.
I don't know if everybody can tell at home, but those 2 triangles that Nathaniel was just on, there is no little hold attached to that. It's just those triangles, and they are not that good. You really do kind of have to figure out a way to keep your feet on in order to stay on there. Just a minute and a half left.
We also had an injury scare from Nathaniel yesterday during qualifiers. Seemed to have tweaked something in his shoulder while warming up, and took a very slow start to the qualifying rounds, taking a lot of extra time to warm up, but was then able to rebound and tie for first place out of the qualifying round. Ooh, and his right hand just sliding off the edge of that right volume there. And with a minute left, Nathaniel Coleman is taking the strategy of not trying the boulder again to hopefully conserve some energy. Oh, just telling my story about the French climber who fell before matching a finish hold. Canadian Climbing News on Twitter just reached out and said it was Manu Cornu. And they also posted a clip on Twitter, on our Twitter feed, of the Alex Puccio one-arm chalk-up move from Montreal. So if you get a chance, go take a look at that. It is rather impressive.
We're about to see Kyra and Alex come out. We'll try to not miss Kyra's climb this time. Kyra's struggling just a little bit with the start of women's 4.
And as we mentioned earlier, she is known for her speed through boulder problems, and these first few moves require delicate, slow, precise movement. This is Alex's first attempt on women's 3.
I love the way she climbs into that with such confidence. A less experienced climber may not have moved into that 5-point zone with such confidence, but she just knew what she needed to do and executed with ease.
Alex Puccio making that move on women's 3 look easy.
That's similar beta that Sierra was trying earlier, correct?
Correct.
And a top from Alex Puccio.
go. Kyra's turning that mantle down. She grabbed the 5-point zone there on women's 4, shaking her head in disbelief because it was probably easier than she originally tried.
She's got plenty of time, especially in Kyra world. 3 minutes.
Let's see what she does here with this jump. Just trying to figure out the best way to position herself before committing to this big move.
Looks like she just wasn't quite sure which hold she wanted to go to. I think she's going to have to establish a plan on this boulder problem for that jump and then commit to it. And I know that if she does, she will definitely stick that.
You got it, Tyra. Chill out. Come on, Tyra. Yeah, Tyra, come on. You got this. Come on, Tyra.
Oh, so close.
Outstanding. The silver on Carlo Traverse. Amazing. Come on, Tyra. You can do this. Come on, Tyra.
So once again, while we got a quick break in the action, I want to give a shout out to Stone Age Climbing Gym here in Albuquerque, New Mexico for hosting this awesome event. USA Climbing for putting it all together. And gotta, of course, give a shout out to Louder Than 11 for putting together this live stream for y'all at home. Definitely go out and check their YouTube channel. They got a lot of great videos from climbing competitions to outdoor climbing to all things cool and fun to watch.
She's really committing to that beta, but that hold just isn't that good.
I think she just took over, went over and took a look at that other hold and maybe realizing it's a giant hold, giant jug that she can grab into. And with 40 seconds remaining, this is likely her last attempt to try to get a top on this boulder problem.
Wow. Oh, so close. She almost was able to maintain the tension required.
Looks like she may have rolled her ankle there a little bit too.
Well, nice work from Kyra. She had a great round today.
3 tops, I believe.
Yeah, 3 tops.
Okay, so big action here for the men's category. Our 2 competitors who are tied in first place from qualifiers are on men's 3 and men's 4. Pretty sure Nathaniel has the advantage because he was able to top men's 1. However, we're yet to see an updated scoring results from the rest of our field. They could be outclimbed right now by pretty much anybody. There's been tops all over the place. Kai Laettner on his first attempt, making his way to the 10-point zone. Using height to his advantage. However, these last moves may be more difficult for his height with those high feet. Got to really stay low on those volumes in order to maintain friction.
But Kai is so flexible that sometimes that doesn't matter.
Got Nathaniel Coleman's first burn on men's 4. Working up that dual texture undercling into the overhang. When I say dual texture, that means the grabbable surface of the hold has good texture and the top of the hold is completely slick. So great for a handhold on one side and awful for a foot on the other.
Yeah, it seems like more and more. Ooh, nice.
Just grab the 10-point zone there. eyeing up the 15. Bumps his way to the 15 and is one move away from topping.
And he manages the top.
That is a flash of men's 4.
That was impressive. Nathaniel climbing very, very strong tonight.
Really got to see that potential shoulder injury yesterday is not affecting him here tonight in finals.
Kai just not quite able to navigate his way through those triangles. But he still has 2.5 minutes left.
All eyes on Kai Laettner here, using my left foot start beta.
We are almost 2 hours into climbing, and the crowd is still very much behind every single competitor. A lot of cheering. I think most of these spectators tonight are pretty well, they're pretty well educated in the climbing world. Many of them competed today in the citizens comp that happened, or the youth comp that happened earlier today. This is a great event that we get to put on here in Albuquerque for our local and regional competitors, and now attracting national competitors. Seconds left. Kai stepping up for what will probably be his last attempt. Those first moves are just looking so easy for him now.
Seasoned competitor Kai Laettner checking the clock out to see how much time he has left as he tries to wrestle his way through these last volumes.
Is he going to match it? 10 seconds? Oh.
With 5 seconds remaining, Kai Laettner with the only top of men's 3.
And a very excited Kai Laettner right now. All smiles.
Now, Melly, what do you think that says about Kai Laettner as a competitor, being the only athlete to not top men's 1 and then coming back to top that problem with 5 seconds remaining?
You know, that shows some maturity, especially from somebody his age. He's only 16. And just the seasoned nature of him as a competitor, to have that moment where you know everybody else sent men's 1 and then you not send would be really difficult for a lot of people to overcome. But he comes back from it and crushes. And that's impressive.
And now on to our final female competitor. We've got Alex Puccio brushing her holds on women's 4, hoping to get a little bit better texture on these holds that 7 other ladies have climbed on already tonight. So we just got word that our
So I'm wondering if Alex is going to pull off any showboating on that jug when she sticks it. She's such a fun competitor to watch. And the middle part of this route really speaks to her strengths.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see what she uses to climb up through those last couple of moves.
I'm struggling just a little bit with the start move, which was challenging for Kyra as well.
Yeah, you typically think of climbing as pulling down. However, this first move revolves around them having to push up off of that first start hold.
And there she figures out the way through those first moves.
Taking her time to figure out the most comfortable position before jumping over.
It's very committing. And you may have noticed Alex has some tape around her ankle. She is coming back from a little bit of an ankle injury earlier this season. And so she may be considering that as she's thinking about making this wild jump. Coming down on that could be a problem for her. Although it hasn't slowed her down much, she has been climbing very strong, both at competition and outside. She just came back from Magic Wood and sent several hard problems, including a V14.
With 1 minute left, Alex looks to try to figure out this little jump move to get onto the big volume.
Just getting the crowd behind her. Seems like Alex always appreciates the crowds cheering.
So not only was Alex the only female competitor to top all 10 qualifiers from last night, I believe she flashed 8 of those 10.
That's impressive.
So you got to assume she's feeling pretty fresh tonight compared to her competitors.
She has less than 30 seconds left. And there it is.
And with 20 seconds remaining, she grabs the 10-point zone.
And the crowd is going crazy for her, which can only help.
10 seconds.
And there it is, the top. And she looks relieved.
And
It's a nice way for her to finish up her finals round here at the Yank-N-Yard.
so I believe she is the only female competitor to top all 4 climbs. I think that may seal the deal for her victory here tonight.
Not a surprise, but it did come down to the last few seconds.
Had a great show here tonight. We'll wrap it up right now with our last male competitor, Kai Laettner, on men's 4. Be interesting to see what techniques he uses to make it through this roof section with his height.
And I think he is going to have to top this since he did not top number 1. Although he was the only one, I believe, to top men's 3.
So he flipped that right hand, but did not use that screw-on jib hold. So hopefully he takes a second look, realizes what he missed, just to the fact that he almost controlled that swing without that extra hold.
That's really impressive. I assumed he was on the jib. I did not realize he was just on that undercling pinch. That's really strong. A great time for asking questions will be right after Kai is done with his round. So be sure to get onto Twitter @USA Climbing to ask some questions, or make comments about tonight.
Just under 3 minutes remaining here for Kai Laettner.
He's opting out of the undercling altogether. Oh my gosh, that would have been a wild coordination to catch. Do you think he planned that, or was that a last-ditch effort?
I want to say he planned that, Molly.
That was impressive.
Because he didn't hesitate for too long, and he was pretty darn close to sticking that move.
So as a setter, when you're considering things like these toe hooks and these heel hooks, and you've got people Kai's size at 6'2", and then shorter climbers like Sean Bailey, what do you do to make sure you accommodate all the sizes?
So we ensure that the distance between the toe hook and the handhold you need to get is close enough for our shortest competitor to reach, but then we need to also ensure that the following move Kai can't skip.
Right.
So as long as the move is not skippable for Kai and reachable for our shortest competitors, you know.
Let's see if he goes for the coordination move again. Oh. Different play on that time.
As straightforward as this climb seems, the movement to work through them is rather complex, especially taking into consideration the different heights and abilities of our competitors. Have a minute and 5 seconds remaining as Kai pulls onto the wall again.
You know he's going to put all of his effort into this last climber of the night.
So close to grabbing that right hand.
With 47 seconds left. Will he try it again? I believe he will. He's going to put on a show for the crowd, and he's going to try hard to get this send. 30 seconds. The crowd is definitely going crazy for Kai right now.
Kai Laettner sees that jib this time, but his feet cut at the last second.
That was a good effort.
And that'll be all.
And that wraps up the action tonight from the Yank-N-Yard. Stay tuned though, because we will be doing results in a little bit.
As well as our podium ceremony. We've got a pretty awesome first place prize for our winners here tonight. And as soon as we get those tentative results out, we will try to keep you folks updated at home.
Murto on Twitter wanted to do a shout out to Mike Bacchino. Mike Bacchino was the chief setter for this event. He oversaw all of the setting that was done, correct, Matt?
Correct.
Yeah, so, and they did a great job. I think that this event was really well set from my own personal perspective as a spectator just watching tonight. I thought the setting was excellent. So good job, Matt.
Thanks.
Good job, Mike.
Thanks, but it was a giant collaborative team effort. We had, I think, over 10 route setters between the open and qualifying rounds, working on these problems and forerunning. We've been putting together the venue for this for the past 2.5, almost 3 weeks. Took us a full day to build that giant modular volume you see there in the center of the wall. Took us a full day to drag all these crash pads in here. It was quite a production.
And I think that this country would be hard-pressed to find a more aesthetic and beautiful competition. The artwork, all of these beautiful volumes, even the holds and the quality of the holds used. Everything's so beautiful and aesthetic at this event.
And then just take a step out the front door and you get the beautiful views of the Sandia Mountains here in Albuquerque.
live in a pretty great place, Matt.
We do.
Matt and I are both not actually originally from Albuquerque, but I think we're both loving it. I've been here a few years, and Matt's been here for a year, and man, I feel like I actually shouldn't talk too much about how great it is because I don't want everybody moving here.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it's actually terrible. Nobody should come. But truthfully, we do have a great outdoor scene and climbing year-round.
Yeah,
and I
tons,
think
tons
this
of
is-
climbing.
Yeah, this is really being seen in our up-and-coming youth and adult climbers. They're getting just so much experience and exposure. So you all should tune in for the next National Cup Series competition. It will also be live streamed. That one's going to be at the Crux Climbing Center in Austin, Texas. Oh, I am so sorry. That is actually going to be at the Dogpatch Boulders in San Francisco in November. I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's November 10th and 11th in San Francisco. And then after that is the Crux Climbing Center in Austin in December. So do stay tuned in to the National Cup Series and follow along through everybody's journey as they go through this.
And a quick shout out to all of our sponsors. The National Cup Series Tour sponsors are the North Face, Climbing Magazine, Petzl, Enterprise Walls, Cliff Bar, and Evolve. Our climbing holds companies sponsored. You probably saw some of their signs on the walls tonight. We've got E-Grips, Flat Hold, Technic, Soil, Element, and Working Class. We also got sponsors from Flashed and the Climbing Academy. And our local Yank-N-Yard sponsors here in Albuquerque are Adidas, Utora, and Ribs Barbecue in Cedar Crest, which was a fantastic meal before this commentary.
That was delicious.
We've also got Friction Labs, Evolve again, La Sportiva, Mammut, Petzl, Edelrid, Boreal, Santa Fe Brewing Company, Prismatic Coffee, and the UNM International Mountain. So Molly, I want to quickly comment on the climbing community in general. We can see here on our live stream feed, we've got Austin Guyman, Ben Hanna, Carlo, and Nick Milburn chatting it up, discussing finals. Looks like a few of them are drinking a beer. That's probably the most unique part about the climbing world is how supportive competitors are of each other. You know, in most other sports, you want to beat your opponent, you want to win. However, here, you not only want to win, but you want to see your friends and your fellow competitors climb the best they can. Because you don't want to win because somebody else made a mistake. You want to win because you climb the best out of everyone.
I'm really enjoying watching all of these competitors walking around now. I see Meagan Martin giving hugs to adorable little girls, taking pictures with people. So I think this is just really fun to have this kind of competition where we can see these pros in our hometown and see them in real life.
Pretty sure I just saw Ben Hanna giving out an autograph as well.
Awesome. And we have a pretty awesome week coming up here at Stone Age Climbing Gym. The competitors, or I'm sorry, the staff here have put together a great event. There's all kinds of clinics happening. We have shoe demos. We have movie nights. So it's a really cool event that Stone Age puts on for the community. And just this finals and this open competition is just the start of it.
So we've got Mr. Benjamin Hanna
Oh, dude, you know how bad I am.
joining us here in the booth. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Pretty good, Ben. How you feeling? How was the finals round?
It was awesome. It was super fun. Kind of nervous still, like amped up.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have the advantage of kind of having home turf, but also the pressure of all your friends and family being in the crowd as well.
Honestly, I don't think there was as much pressure as just like a bunch of there was a lot of added hype, and I was really excited just to compete in front of all my friends.
Awesome, man. Tell us a little bit about the climbs. What'd you think? What'd you like? What'd you not like? Which climbs, suited your style? Walk us through it.
Honestly, they were all really good boulders. Some of the best comp boulders, I think, overall I've competed on. I thought they're really fun. I really liked the first one. I thought that was really my style. For some reason, I'm good at slab. I don't know why. I really liked the volume climb, even though I think I might have pulled my shoulder on that. I felt like my shoulder was going to just stay on the volume and I was going to fall.
Well, you better rest up, man. You got to come back and route set here with us in a week or two.
Yeah, next week.
Give us a little bit of insight. We briefly told the viewers at home, you guys were back in isolation, warming up. What goes through a competitor's mind back there? What do you do to prepare? What's interacting with your competitors like back there? Tell us the feel of the isolation area.
This year it was a pretty stressful ISO, and I didn't get to talk much or climb much, and with everyone else I kind of had to do my own thing because I was going first out. And the way ISO was set up, I only had like 30 minutes to warm up, so it was a really rushed ISO and a really stressful ISO for me at least. So I was kind of just focused on getting what I needed to get done.
Yeah, I know speaking with you in the past, it usually takes you at least an hour.
Yeah, at least. Like usually I like to be there 2 hours early, do like an hour of like mental prep and then an hour of warm up. And this year I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, unfortunately with our weekend here at Stone Age, we had open qualifiers last night. We had our youth comp this morning. We had our citizens comp immediately following that. So we didn't even have the option really of isolation opening.
No, yeah,
soon enough.
It's cool that we get so much done here, and we get so many different competitions all packed into 2 days. And there's not much you can do about the whole warm-up situation. It's what it is, and as a competitor, that's just part of the game. Like, especially, I learned that quick competing in international competitions because they really just don't care. They're like, well, as long as it's the same for every competitor, it doesn't matter what you get. Like, I've had to warm up on 2 pieces of plywood, like a 2 plywood warm-up wall. So.
One last question for you, Ben. That being said about the isolation setup and having limited time, I think that just means next year you got to come out and qualify higher up. So you have a couple extra minutes to warm up in ISO.
That's the beta, right?
But that being said, haven't seen the official results yet. I believe you finished with 3 tops or 2.
2, I think. Yeah,
2?
2 tops. I fell on the last move of 3. But I felt really good. At first coming out, I was really nervous. I didn't think I did so good. I felt good, but I didn't think I competed so well looking at the score, especially since Austin beat me right off the bat. And I was like, all right. I was happy just being in finals. I was really happy just being in finals, and so I wasn't too bummed, but it was kind of stressful watching the scores like tick up. But I'm really happy in how it came out, and I'm still a little bit overwhelmed.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming into the booth, answering some questions. And speaking of Austin, I think we're going to pass the mics off to Molly and Austin Guyman.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt.
We're gonna talk for just a moment with Austin Guyman. So, Austin, how do you feel like your climbing went today?
I'm pretty pleased with how it went. I think it started out pretty good with the slab, and I just tried to carry it on from there.
Yeah, you looked really strong tonight. On your, let's see, what was it, the 3rd problem, I was really impressed with your shoulder power as you moved from the 5-point to the 10-point zones.
Oh yeah, that one was pretty miserable actually. It definitely hurt quite a bit.
Did it?
But yeah, the goal was to get 15. We have scoring kind of displayed, and I saw Ben was able to get up to 15. and it really pushed me to try a little bit harder and really press out number 10 to reach out to 15 and get points for that. But yeah, the shoulder move was a lot of coordination, and after you stuck it, you couldn't really relax. You had to like swing your foot up really quick, and that was really difficult.
Well, everybody else looked a little shaky on it, and I thought you just looked like incredibly comfortable on that move. So good job.
Oh, thanks.
So how do you feel about this format with the different qualifiers?
With the qualifiers, so the 10 climbs.
Yes, yeah.
I really like it, and I do like the new scoring format with the zone holds. Also, them having the option of only having, say, one zone hold valued at 15 points and then the top worth 25. I think that kind of resembles what happens in World Cups, and I think it allows the setters to have a little more freedom, but it also allows us to get ready for the international competitions.
Yeah. And do you feel like you were more tired tonight coming into finals than typical, or less tired from qualifiers?
I had a little strategy. I didn't really throw myself at one of the climbs last night. I had a pretty good chance of making finals, and I just kind of ran with that and maybe stopped an hour early in qualifiers to rest up, especially with like my old age and stuff. I should probably rest more, and I don't recover quite as fast as, say, Nathaniel Coleman or some of these young guys. So I did feel okay today. I was a little stiff, but overall it went okay, so I can't complain.
All right, well, thank you so much for stopping by our booth tonight, and well done. You looked incredibly strong.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for repping for the 30-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Austin.
So we are getting close to award time.
We have the iconic box jumps platforms for our podium here tonight. Got a ton of raffles, and in a few moments we're going to be announcing our winners for the male and female open categories here. So we're currently waiting on the appeals period to be over. If competitors believe the scoring has been misrepresented in any way, they can file an official appeal with the judges, and they'll take a look at the footage and their scorecards and try to rectify any potential mistakes that were made. So that'll be over hopefully in a couple minutes. I'm actually going to step out of the booth again and introduce Meagan Martin. She's going to do a little interview with Molly.
Hi, Meagan.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Did you feel like your night went pretty well?
Yeah, I think that it went pretty well. Definitely made some mistakes, but that happens in finals sometimes. But yeah, I was really happy with a lot of my climbing, and I think that I was really excited that I wasn't fully exhausted at the end. That's always like a good sign of like your training and stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It was fun. Boulders were great. Just need to be a little smarter sometimes, but whatever.
That's always the challenge. Which problem did you enjoy the most tonight?
I think the most fun was number 4. I love dynos, so that jump was super fun. I also really like number 3, even though it's like not necessarily my style, like the standing on slippery volumes and stuff, but I kind of like the challenge of it, so I think number 3 was pretty cool too.
Yeah, when you stepped up to number 4, I thought, yeah, this is a Meagan problem. She's going to do well on that with all of her Ninja Warrior training.
Oh, yeah.
I think that
totally
lends itself pretty well.
Yeah, I was a little bummed that I messed up at the top and didn't flash it, but it's okay. As long as I did the boulder, it's fine.
Strong work.
Thank you.
And you have been a very busy woman
Yes.
this year. You've been doing Ninja Warrior. You did the Ultimate Spartan Team Challenge.
Yep.
You also are modeling.
Yep.
Do you ever stay home?
No, not at all, actually. From here, I'm going straight to LA, so I'm very busy, and juggling everything is kind of hard, but I'm glad that I can still come to these comps and perform like almost, or I mean, perform well enough to, you know, make finals and, you know, do a good job, and hopefully I can maybe manage the juggling a little better so that I can maybe win one of these one day.
Well, you've definitely not suffered at all, it seems, from all of your travels. How do you manage to train while you're on the road? I know when I travel, I end up eating Cinnabon and I don't sleep well, so I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to stay to your normal like nutritional regimen when you're traveling. I just try to do it, like find stuff that's healthy when I can, and if you can't, sometimes, you know, that's just how it is. It is hard training. I basically just try to climb as much as possible. I don't really follow any kind of training regimen. Like, I don't think I've done 4x4s in like 2 years, but I just try to climb a lot of boulders when I go into the gym and like feel wrecked, and then I just go again the next day. So it's lots of climbing.
Well, at one point on the wall, it was you and Brooke and Natalia. And so it was like the Team ABC moment.
Yeah.
How is that for you? What does that feel like to have your students out on the wall on either side of you while you're also competing?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. I feel like climbing is one of the only sports where, you know, you have adults competing against teenagers, and, you know, that's kind of a different thing, but it's really fun, and I have a great time with them, and it's really, like, it feels almost like being home, you know? Like, they're like little sisters to me, and I love to see them do well, and it's always fun. Like, Brooke and I especially are always like, oh, I hope we get to climb at the same time, because then we can, like, laugh and stuff in between, because we always just have a good time, and it keeps it, like, a little more light. It's not so serious. So I feel really lucky that I get to coach them and get to climb with them, too.
Yeah, and you and Brooke just spent a good deal of time on the road together, and this was really your first season doing lead competitions, right?
Yeah, I had never done any lead World Cups until this year, and I would have liked to have been a little more prepared for them. I was definitely really prepared for rope nationals, but then I got a little busy, and I know my fitness wasn't as up to par as I wanted it to be, but I still had a really good time competing in the lead World Cups this year, and we had a blast traveling around Europe together, eating too much gelato and watching too many romantic comedies.
Well, thank you so much, Meagan, for stopping by the booth.
You.
It's always a pleasure. You're so fun to watch to climb, and
Thank you.
we love watching you sign autographs and take pictures with the kids afterwards. So
It's always so much fun. Thank you for having me.
thanks.
Bye.
Right now, the crowd is getting hyped up again, or still. They are throwing out prizes to the crowds while we wait for the appeal period to be over. And then we can begin doing the results, which should be very exciting since we haven't really been seeing the results as we go. So this will be fun to see what we have.
So I don't mean to brag, but while you were interviewing Meagan, I snuck out and actually saw the results. So should we leave them in suspense? So unofficially, we have results that are in. However, we still have to wait for that appeals period to close. And while we wait for that, I just want to say how psyched I am right now that the National Cup Series has officially kicked off. The first leg is over. We've got 3 more to go, and then our national championship. So, you know, our top 30 male and female competitors here tonight have accrued points towards their National Cup standings, and they will then duke it out at 3 more comps plus nationals, try to score some more points.
And so we had a question from Scott Jerome to ask us to explain the zone holds a little bit more. So I'm going to leave that to Matt, because that's his world.
So we spoke about this briefly earlier. The zone holds are a way to track the climber's progress through each climb. In previous scoring formats, topping the boulder problem was the most important thing. Whoever had the most tops wins. However, let's say you got really close to finishing every single climb, but fell right before the finish hold. You had nothing to show for it on your scorecard, aside for maybe a bonus hold halfway up the route. So having these 3 zones or these 3 checkpoints gives a better representation of each climber's overall performance. So it gives you a way to score more points, as well as stay in the running even if you don't top all 4 boulder problems.
Yeah, it's just a more fair indication, perhaps, of the climber's actual progress on the climb. And it was really interesting to see it used in the qualifiers as well. I thought that the climbers really enjoyed that. Everybody I talked to was really pleased to have that. It was less stressful to feel that pressure of topping out the whole problem. Instead, they could just get to a zone and call it good. And that really helped everybody feel a little more comfortable. The vibe last night at qualifiers was very relaxed for qualifiers.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. I mean, we had upwards of, I think, 80 competitors. Don't mark my word, but we had a lot of people here last night trying to fight their way into finals, and it was really cool to see the camaraderie, the communication, people sharing, how they did climbs to help other climbers out. It was really cool to see everybody working together, all with the common goal of trying to beat everyone else.
You can see the crowd has not thinned at all. Everybody's anxious to see the results.
Looks like we're getting ready for our podiums here. All right, so in 8th place for the women's, we've got Lucy Humphries.
Next, in 7th place, we have Maya Madere. Maya had a strong night, but so did everybody.
In 6th place, we got Natalia Grossman. So tonight, a perfect score would be 100. If they flashed all 4 climbs, they'd be awarded 25 points per climb without a penalty of any falls. So a perfect score would be 100.
So in 6th place with Natalia Grossman, she had 54 points to give an indication of where that score came in.
And in 5th place, we've got Sierra Blair Coyle with 54.8 points.
So the difference between Sierra and Natalia was 54.6 versus 54.8. What does that mean, Matt?
That means Sierra was able to get to the same points on each climb with 2 less tries.
4th place was Meagan Martin
with 69.9 points. 3rd place, Tyra Conde with 79.4.
2nd place, Brooke Rabitou, 84.6. And of course, our winner, Alex Puccio,
with 99.5 points. So she only fell 5 times tonight.
And that belt buckle. Do you think she's going to wear that every day?
If I was her, I would. Come on, hold it up above your head.
She's got to put it on. Yes, she is putting it on.
WWF, WWE, I don't even know what it's called now, but pro wrestling right there. Yank-N-Yard 2017 champion Alex Puccio.
That was a great showing for the women. What a strong field.
And up next, we have our podium presentation for the men's. In 8th place with 54.4 points, Carlo Traverse.
7th place, it's Kai Laettner with 54.7. So that was 54.7 versus 54.4. Again, that's just number of falls.
In 6th place, we've got Nicholas Milburn with 64 points on the dot.
And in 5th is Matt Foltz. He had 64.6 points tonight. Again, the separation between him and Nick were 0.6. So a close race there.
4th place, we've got Sean Bailey with 69.2 points.
In 3rd place, Ben Hanna from San
And a very excited home crowd right now. Ben Hanna, 3rd place. Oh, he crushed it today. That was a really good showing for him.
69.6 points for Ben, so only 4 attempts separated him and 4th place. In 2nd place, we've got our oldest competitor here tonight, Austin Guyman, with 74.5 points.
Shout out to the over 30 climbers.
And in 1st place, we got Nathaniel Coleman.
And our winner tonight, Nathaniel Coleman.
2-time defending national champion. Starting off the National Cup season with a big win.
Well,
So-
I suppose he'll have to put the belt on too, since Alex did.
And so again, these top 8 competitors, they have accrued some pretty hefty points for the National Cup Series. Hopefully we'll see them all again at our next stop and throughout the season.
And that is it for our competitors for the 2017 Yank-N-Yard, the first stop of the National Cup Series. There you see the men's finalists. Again, Nathaniel Coleman to comb the belt buckle. Austin Guyman 2nd and Ben Hanna 3rd.
Just a reminder, tune in again with USA Climbing and Louder Than 11 for our live streams for the Dog Patch Boulders Comp in San Francisco on November 11th.
Thanks again. This is Molly Rennie.
And I'm Matt Ratajczak. We want to thank you guys for tuning in with us tonight. Hope to see you all again soon.